Well, g'day and welcome back to the shed. And I'm starting off pretty much where I left off at the end of the last video with this STC Farm Radio here. It really is a bit of a mess. I've been looking at the cabinet and I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'll probably start by paint stripping it and see what we've got underneath and what's salvageable. But I thought to kick things off, I'm going to start with the dial glass. And this is it here. It's worse than I thought it would be. It's got a piece out of it. It's also got various little holes in the back. And yeah, that needs to be glued in there. And it looks pretty bad. And if it's not going to come out any good, I can always scan it and do a reproduction somehow or other. But I have a cunning plan anyway. I bought this Loctite glass super glue, and I'm going to try and glue the piece in with that and see how that goes. And the other thing, while I was at the hardware shop getting that, I got them to scan and colour match the cream paint on this, and I think they've done a pretty good job. They mixed up this little sample pot of acrylic, and from what I can see, it's a very good match. So I'm going to start by cleaning the glass off, gluing it back together, and we'll see how successful that is. So I thought I'd start with some glass cleaner just on the top surface. I'm going to have to be very careful with the back surface and just wipe it over with a clean microfiber. That looks better already just for being cleaned on top, but as you can see from all the white showing through, there's quite a lot of spots that have the paint lifting off. I'll just try with a dab of glass cleaner and just see how it affects the paint. It's not actually taking it off. If I very carefully wipe around the flaking parts, I can probably reasonably clean it. This corner was missing when I got it, but I don't think it's going to be visible. The other good thing is that there is a glass in front of this when it's in the cabinet, so this is not going to be touched in any way once it's mounted on the chassis or in the cabinet. So the brake doesn't have to be a terribly strong repair, it just has to hold together, and I can probably reinforce it at the side with something, I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along, of course, but I thought I'd start by putting a bit of cling wrap down on the bench top because I don't want this sticking to the bench top. I don't want it sticking to the cling wrap either, but I think I've got a better chance with that. So just smooth that out. He says wrinkling it worse. That's the trouble with this stuff. It gets stuck to itself. Okay, that's kind of okay. I'm not going to push my luck and try and get it any better, and I'll use this particularly flat area here. Right way up or upside down? I think I'll put it paint side up, and this will have to go in here. Now, can I match the lines? Ooh. Yes, I can just see the end of that red line there, so we'll get it straight. Okay, so the instructions say apply a small quantity to one surface, press parts together immediately and hold until fixtured. Okay, I don't know how long it'll take for it to be fixtured, but we'll give that a go, shall we? Just a small quantity, it says. Very small quantity. Alright, let's give that a go. Lining that red line up there. That looks right. And I'm just pressing in on it for the moment. I'll try and put the lid back on. Not that that helps with super glue, it still goes hard. Now, is it fixtured yet? Anybody's guess. I'll leave that to dry for a little while. I'll see if I can make up some sort of an end piece there and fill that with clear araldite or epoxy resin. Maybe that will, and I could do the same thing with this corner. Well, it's been about half an hour. I went and made a cup of coffee, and if this isn't set now, it probably never will be, so let's just see how it's come out. And I suspect it is stuck to the... Oh, there we go. That peeled off nicely. And that's as good as you can get. This spot here though, I think that will be visible, so okay, if that was moderately successful, I'm going to try the araldite or the epoxy resin, it's not araldite, on this crack here. And I think what I need to do is put something across there to bridge the gap, mix some up and just pour it in. So what I'm going to try is folding the cling wrap over, and I'll put this piece of timber next to it, fold it back over that, and that will form a little dam there that I can pour the glue into. Okay, so I'll put this on top of it, and this 4-pound weight should hold it down enough without breaking anything. That looks okay. Okay, I've mixed it up using the dial glass from the old radiola I just fixed, and I'll see if I can scrape that into the gap there. Well, that's been about an hour now. It's supposed to be 5-minute epoxy, but it's taken a good deal longer than that to dry. So let's just take the tape off and see how hard it is to separate this from the cling wrap. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so there's the result, and this is the piece that I made up, this chip in the corner, and that's actually not too bad. I mean, the paint's dreadful. Just while it was drying on this end of the dial, I've touched in some of the holes in it, in the paint, and of course I can't replace the lettering there, unfortunately, but it looks not too bad. Now with this corner that's broken out, I have another cunning plan. I've cut this piece of plywood to pretty close to a 90-degree angle. I'm going to put it in here like this and fill that corner with epoxy. Okay, here we go. Unfortunately it's very difficult to mix this stuff up without getting bubbles in it, but I will try the heat again and see if that helps. Okay, well, it's been about 24 hours. I've been to work and come home, and it should be set by now, so let's have a look at how this has come out. And yeah, okay, well, it's peeled off the cling wrap all right, but this is pretty firmly attached here. I'll just cut around the edge of that wood. This stuff sets quite hard. It's almost glass-like. Okay, the tape stayed on the glass, but that's just fine. Let's take the tape off the other end. And there we go. Now that's not terribly smooth, but it's pretty strong, and this section here that I filled in, also pretty strong. It's better than it was, I guess, and that's the bottom line. And in case anyone's wondering, this is the product I'm using. ADB is the brand, clear epoxy. Just got it from the local Bunnings hardware store. I don't think it's anything special, it was just cheap. So what I've done, I've already touched in some of the holes in the paint on this side, and that doesn't look too bad. The colour isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. It's good enough, I think. If it's not, I can still scan this once I've fixed it up a bit and fix up some of the lettering and print it off. But I'd like to keep the original glass if I can. Alright, I'll clean this up a little bit, just scrape off the edges and whatever. I don't know if it would be possible to polish it to a better finish. It's glass-like, but it's got a, let's see, it's got a kind of a ripple through it. Okay, I'm just touching in some of the remaining spots, and I'll turn it over in a moment and we'll see what it looks like. I'm not expecting miracles, but it might be possible, so let's have a look. Okay, yeah, that crack is still pretty horrible. So is the top corner, but given that most of it isn't visible inside the radio, you're just going to see this. Look, I don't know. It was worth having a go at. I might put it in for now and look at doing a scan and looking at getting a reproduction, unless I can get my hands on an alternative dial glass for this radio. It would be nice to have one. That probably doesn't have to be exactly the same either. They may have made several, and if it fits, good. Well, I ended up doing a scan of the dial, and I've been spending some time on the computer trying to make up a decent facsimile, and I'll probably try and get a dial printed off and see if I can use that as a substitute. I don't think the result I got was good enough really to put back on the radio. Worst comes to worst, I can do that temporarily if my substitute doesn't work out, but we'll see. Meanwhile, I thought the next thing to do is to disassemble this mess, and I mark exactly where that came to. If I can get these crusty old screws off. Some of these are not particularly easy to get off. They've been rusted on for a while. There we go. And all the little bits are going straight into this white vinegar, which makes it very much easier to clean up the rust and crud off them. The larger bits I'll have to clean up manually, I guess. This dial cord will have to come off anyway because it's operating in the wrong direction, and I've drawn myself a diagram and worked out how I'm going to reverse it. It shouldn't be too hard. The hardest bit might be getting those screws out. Let's see what I can do. And into the drink with you. And now the other side. No, the screw head's turning, I think. See if I can hold it like that, or I'll need to take this valve out. No. Alright, I'll take you out. That'll probably need a bit of fixing up. this dial pointer's only wrapped around, so it should be easy enough to undo that. And put that aside and clean it up separately. And dial cord will have to stay till I get it a bit further apart. Okay, so let's take these off. And the screws on the other side, the nuts on the other side are accessible at least. The screws on this are in good condition. Oh, this has got the nuts on the outside of this one. Okay. Must be a reason for that. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's why it's right behind the oh gee, that's not going to be easy to get off. Right behind the band switch here. I'll try one and see what happens. It looks as if STC had some common sense. It's not Phillips after all. These screws are captive in the chassis, so I don't have to worry about them dropping out when I get this off. Otherwise I would have had to pull the band switch out, which would have been a bit of a drama, and I'm not sure if I would have even wanted to do it. Whatever. Let's see if we can get this washer off. Here we go. Yes, come on, you know you want to. That's it. Okay, so I'll put these aside, remembering that the bolts are captive. Thank you, STC. I'll get rid of this thing too. It's a bit of a mess. Just cut it off here. Doesn't even have a nice plug on it. It goes in the bin. May as well take this one out too while we're at it. So we'll take these out. And it looks like maybe the nuts are captive, are they? Probably not. Let's have a look. No, they're not. There we go. That one's not going to be quite so easy to get back in, but I think we'll manage. Have a look at this. It's amazing that that worked, and it tuned right through the dial too without any crackling or anything. So, well, there you go. You can't judge by appearances. Oh dear, those screws that I thought were captive behind the band switch here just fell out on the bench top. I'm going to have to find a way of getting them back in. Put them aside for now. I guess there's no point in worrying about it yet. I'll see how I go. The bottom one I could get in. Gee, that top one's going to be fun. Getting that back in. I'll have to evolve a special technique for that, I think. Not sure what I'm going to do yet. Or I might have to remove the band switch, and I don't want to do that. What's it held in by? Not an awful lot. This might just come out and move back a little bit. I think the wiring would allow it to move marginally, which is all I would need to get those screws in. Oh well, on with the show. I guess the next thing to do is to take the dial drum off this tuning capacitor, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. I'll mark this as up, something like that. I'll just get a marker pen. So that is closed top. Now, will it come off before it hits that IF can? No. Alright, it seems I can't take the dial drum off without removing the IF can or the capacitor, so for the moment I'm just going to put it back on, and I'll remove the tuning spindle from underneath, because that's stiff in its bracket and needs some attention. Instead, I'll just take the spring off from here and turn it around to the other side. Oh, of course, yeah. So I should be able to remove this string. This is going to be a bit tedious to put back together, I think. Just noticing that this has a spring which bears against the spindle to keep it from rattling around. I'll just take a photo of that. Now this is what I was hoping I wouldn't have to do. I'll have to take this tuning shaft bracket out of the chassis because I can't remove the spindle from it where it is, I don't think. Oh, hang on, maybe I should consider that. Perhaps I can. There does seem to be a little circlip thing around it here that might be removable. See, this little wire clip around here is proving very stubborn. It doesn't want to move at all. I've been at it with all kinds of tools little screwdrivers, you name it, trying to prise it out, and it does not want to come out. What I thought I might try doing is, if I can get this little screwdriver in there against the end of it and tap it with a hammer, I might be able to loosen it. I'll give it a try. If that doesn't work, the next thing is to take the whole thing out, I guess, if I can. And maybe I can cut through it with a Dremel. Okay, that fell apart. One piece of pot metal. Let's see if I can pull this clip out now. Oh, it is well and truly stuck. There we go. I'll try and leave the lever that out around the perimeter. Okay. Maybe I can glue this back in, I'm not too sure. I'll put it aside. Anyway, I'm now able to remove this shaft backwards through the back of the chassis. Might need a little bit of persuasion, but it'll go through. And there we go. Let's take the fishing line dial cord off it. Now let's have a look at this thing. It's in pretty bad shape. I don't think I could even pull that back out through the hole without maybe filing it. Anyway, let's get this shaft cleaned up. I'll work out what diameter it is and run a drill through this. Okay, so this shaft is 6.32 or something in about 6.4 at that point there. Okay, here goes. I've got a 1/4 inch drill. We'll see how that goes. Okay, I've cleaned all of this up. Let's just see how this goes. So the shaft goes in from there. And there we go. That seems to rotate very freely. So I think it might be alright. Getting a clip in here is going to be challenging. I tried very gently taking a file to this and I could see a piece of it moving, ready to break out again, so I'm not going to risk that. What I will do is try and stabilise this with a bit of super glue. I don't know what else I can do, but at least this will penetrate into small cracks and hopefully wick up into the fractures in the metal. Just a touch there. And I'll just drop this piece in. Try not to touch it with my fingers because I don't really want my fingers stuck together with super glue. I'm going to have to though, I think. Just hold this in place with that. Alright, I'll let that set for a minute and then I'll try and get some super glue into the cracks. I thought I'd better take the tuning capacitor out. I can't really clean it up where it is, and it really does need a good going over. And I can't remove the drum from it while it's in place because it fouls on the IF transformer next to it, so that's a bit surprising, but there you go. So let's see if we can now lift this out. Something's holding it. Okay, I managed to get that off, so it should now just lift out, just like that. And have a look at that, it's delightful. Okay. I guess I could take the top off the transformer as well, the output transformer, and the mains transformer for that matter, and see if this is functional and whether I can possibly turn it around, because doing an alignment with these adjusters facing this way is not going to be easy. I'm also not entirely sure how you disassemble one of these. This disc around the outside appears to lock this screw to the case, but how the screws are connected to the coils inside, or whether they're connected to a cap inside, is anyone's guess. I would like to take the cans off and clean them, of course. I thought I'd start by just giving it a good spray with isopropyl alcohol, and I'll just let it soak for a while and just see how much of this stuff will come loose or come off even. I'll probably take that off, clean it and paint it or something. Give it a bit of a scrub with this, I guess. Whatever it is on here, it's thick and doesn't come off easily. Okay, I'll leave that to soak. I don't think the alcohol's going to be very successful. I don't think it's taking much of it off, but we'll try everything. So I've been trying to clean this up with various things. I've tried isopropyl and it made a little bit of difference. I've tried starter fluid, that made a little bit of difference too, but the thing that's actually worked is good old-fashioned bathroom cleaner. So it follows that this stuff's water soluble. Being water soluble, you have to wonder what it actually is. I suppose it could be anything from rat urine to God knows, I don't want to think about it, but this does make quite a difference. So I'll just persist with this, put some more on it. And it just wipes off. There's grommets under the tuning capacitor. I've seen better days. I think I've got some grommets around somewhere, so I'll replace them. So while I've got the chassis pretty much dismantled, I thought I'd have a look at a couple of issues that I noticed along the way, and one of them is this IF transformer that's facing the wrong way. And I can see in here that it was originally the other way around. So here's one of the original screw holes and here's the other, and I can see why they've turned it around, because this little tag strip here is too low down and they couldn't get the screw in there, so they've just turned it around. I'll just move that up to this hole and see if we can turn that IF around and put the screws in their original positions. Now if I can manoeuvre this little board up a little bit. This connection here is also hanging it up a bit. What's that attached to? It should be alright though, if I just get some of these other wires out of the way. The ones to the speaker transformer don't need to be routed over there anyway. Yep, there we go. Not a problem. I'll be able to get that straight once I've got the screw in. Okay, that's in. Okay, let's just get these nuts off. I think I'm probably going to have to get rid of this filter cap here. I'll find a better way to mount it. I'll just take it off its earth here. That gives me access to this again. Now let's see if I can get this nut off here. It seems to be very loose. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Now let's see if we can remove this IF. Oh, this wire's a bit tight. I'm going to have to take that off as well. I don't want too many wires off at once. I might just put this one on before I forget where it went. I'll put him in here. Alright, that's that one. Now this wire here goes onto that little 1000 puff mica there. I might just cut it off and resolder it. Might need to be lengthened a little bit anyway. Alright, let's see if we can now turn this around. There we go. Okay, we're done. We're in. Okay, and now I've got to get this one on here, which will be more fun. But I should be able to do it. This is going to be fun actually. Just hold the top of it there. Okay, I'll see what I can do to tighten it. Try these, I guess. It's kind of working. Yeah, I think that's tight enough. The can doesn't seem to want to wobble. Now there was this grey wire which goes to there. So I'll just make up a little extension for him as well. Okay, so I'll just solder that in. And yeah, I'll pop a bit of heat shrink over that too. Okay, I've got the side off now, so I should now be able to just undo these nuts on the power transformer. I'll try undoing that. So we can just pop the top off. There we go. Dusty but intact. So I've decided to spray the chassis. Not original anyway. And I'm just using David Tipton's trick of using old fridge magnets to cover up all the holes. So this one will need to be about that wide. Right, let's try that. Yep, that's working fine. Okay, now there's this big one at the front, which I can cover with that. And another piece here. Yep, that'll be fine. I think I still have to do the knobs here. So here we go. Oops, I missed a bit there. Oh, touch that in black. It'll be alright. That's not the world's greatest radio anyway. Fridge magnets are a great idea. Stick them back on the wall. It being a tin shed, I have instant storage for them. It's not the greatest paint job I've ever done on a chassis. Not the worst one either, but it's if I spent another day or two getting everything perfect, it would be better, sure. This is the grid lead for that. So I've got a washer on the inside of this transformer, and that is pulling the chassis back down flat, which is good. There we go. So I guess I may as well start putting it back together, and the first thing is to put the tuning cap back on. And I've got these grommets. So the grommets on this were just crunchy and dead. I've got these grommets which fit nicely on here. Unfortunately though, the diameter in here is a bit bigger than these holes. I'll just check the sizes, and these are as new as I can get. 14.5 millimeters, and the hole in the chassis is 11. It seems pretty brutal, but the only solution I can come up with is this step drill. It has a 14mm step there, so if I can carefully drill down there, we might be in business. There's nothing, no components under here that are going to get damaged. I had a look underneath, which is a good thing, so I don't have to disassemble anything. Okay, wish me luck. Now let's see if we can get this in. Just about. There we go. Yep, that looks good. Alright, here we go with the next one. Oh, that IF is awfully close. I should try and not touch it. This tuning capacitor didn't come up terribly well, so I've just gone over the top of it with a chrome marker pen. A really cheap and tacky fix, and I probably wouldn't do this on a more valuable radio, but I guess it works. And I suppose it will help to protect it as well. Okay, so I've refitted the drum to it, and I'm just going to lower it back in. Hoping that it will all go together, and that's going through the grommets all right, and just replacing the screws on its bracket here. There we go. Well, I think I put everything back right. I put in a new power cord, I've soldered in the tuning capacitor, I've put on the earth, I've connected everything there. We've turned this IF can around, and I think I got that all right. So it's always still a bit of a nervous moment when you plug it in and see if it still works. Hopefully I haven't broken anything, but here goes. And I put it on dim bulb just to be sure, and oh dear, okay, we have a problem. I think we just lost the circuit breakers in the house too. Well, what went wrong? I was right, it did take out the house circuit breaker, or RCD, residual current device, and that means that it didn't necessarily draw a lot of current. In fact, it couldn't have done because it was on dim bulb, but it does mean that there's some leakage to earth, and any leakage to ground, however small, will trigger the thing, which is very handy if that leakage happens to be through you, but if it's not, it's a damn nuisance. So I've reset the computers, rebooted them, reset all the clocks in the house, and now I'm going to have a look at what caused it. But it's becoming obvious that if I keep on with this, this video is going to go way over time, and no one wants to watch me for more than an hour. So I'm going to call this the end of this video, and we'll come back with the next one and try and find out what went wrong. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, including the surprise ending, and we'll catch you next time in the shed where we find out what it's all about. Catch you then.